Being averse to sex, experiencing sexual arousal, having a libido, having kinks and fetishes, these aren't things that real asexuals experience, are they? Contrary to what some may believe, many asexuals can and do experience these features. While it may be difficult to understand how an asexual can have features or experiences that seem to contradict or invalidate their lack of sexual attraction, feelings about sex, sexual arousal, libido, kinks, and fetishes can all exist independently of sexual attraction. Today we'll discuss what each of these terms mean and why asexuals can experience all of these. It's often believed that sex aversion, or the repulsion to or dislike of sex and sexual activity, is the result of a conservative religious upbringing, growing up in a sex-negative environment, or the result of some past abuse, and thus needs to be fixed. However, sex repulsion does not necessarily stem from any of these cases. It can, but it does not always. An aversion to sex is no different than an aversion to any other activity. Just as one may be averse to or greatly dislike a physical sport or a genre of music, there are those who simply are averse to or greatly dislike sex. Even if a person is averse to sex because they grew up in a sexually conservative environment, or because they experienced a traumatic sexual incident, there is no need to fix that aspect of themselves. As long as an individual isn't distressed by an aversion to sex, and is perfectly fine with not having sex, they do not have a disorder and do not need to be fixed, any more than a person who is averse to spicy foods needs to be fixed. It's important to realize that with people being as diverse as they are going to have vastly different opinions and feelings on all kinds of topics, including sex. This means that while sex can be enjoyable, pleasant, and affirming to many people, it can be the exact opposite to other people as well. While asexuals don't experience sexual attraction, they can still have a libido or sex drive, and can experience sexual arousal. For asexuals, this libido isn't seen as a sexual occurrence, but rather as a physiological function. As was mentioned in previous videos, the difference between an asexual with a libido and a non-asexual is that the asexual's libido isn't directed toward anyone, and is also usually disconnected from any emotional attraction the asexual may experience for someone. Asexuals can also have kinks and fetishes, simply because these aren't inherently related to sexual attraction. A kink is any sexually stimulating or pleasurable situation that can enhance intimacy without the need to be practiced for sexual gratification. Usually performed with a partner, kinks can allow some to gain greater emotional and sometimes spiritual intimacy and enhance pleasure. Activities that are present in BDSM, which stands for bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, sadism and masochism, highlight what some common kinks are. For some people, role-playing, using certain objects to bind someone, tying up a partner, acting out a submissive or dominant role, and inflicting or receiving pain are all situations that can enhance intimacy and pleasure, whether sexual or not. On the other hand, a fetish is an object, activity, or situation that is not typically considered sexual that one uses to experience sexual arousal. Unlike those with only kinks, those with fetishes can only attain sexual arousal from their fetish. Instead of enhancing pleasure and intimacy as kinks do, fetishes replace it with an object, activity, situation, or something else. Fetishes can include, but are not limited to, body parts, inanimate objects, certain sounds, smells, tastes, feelings, fantasies, or activities. Because kinks and fetishes have to do with sexual arousal instead of sexual attraction, and enhancing emotional, spiritual, and pleasurable sensations between partners, instead of being strictly about sexual activity, asexuals can have kinks and fetishes. After all, someone who doesn't experience sexual attraction or desire can still experience sexual arousal and pleasure. The reality of the situation is that the asexual community is very diverse, and everyone who is asexual and falls on the asexual spectrum is unique, each with their own individual views and feelings on sex, sexuality, romance, relationships, gender, and any other topic. Asexuals may be sex repulsed or greatly enjoy sex. They may have been sexually abused or may have never suffered any abuse whatsoever. They may be religious or non-religious, may or may not have a sex drive, and may or may not have kinks or fetishes. The characteristics that every individual can have are endless, because at the end of the day, any possible phenomenon that we go through, including sexuality, can be experienced in an infinite number of ways. In this episode, we discussed how asexuals can experience features that are often incorrectly used to invalidate their sexual orientation. Went over a few of the common misconceptions that are directed at asexuals, including the ideas that they cannot be sex-averse, experience sexual arousal or have a libido, or have kinks and fetishes, and explained why these misconceptions are false. As always, you can leave any questions you have about asexuality in the comments below, and our team will do our best to answer all of those questions individually. You can contact us at support@a-ok.org or visit our website a-ok.org for more information. Thanks for watching, and remember, everything's a-okay.